Yours truly, Candace here, showing you how to grow your revenue without using your labor, and always giving great tips from financial to taxes, all those great things. So real quickly, I wanted to really address what kind of family protection do I need? And whenever we look at this, most times I'm gonna really just say this: there's so many ways. There's not one way. There's not one right way, not one wrong way. What I want to do is I just want to give you education so that you'll know that there can be a plan for you and your family that's different from someone else's and their plan. So let's talk about at least just some education. All right, many times you hear term life or whole life. Those are the most common things you hear. So let's talk about the difference between the two. So whole life is most times it's something that can be built up in cash value. That's what they say. It's guaranteed, it stays there, and it never goes away. That's what most times people are so attracted to, is because, well, we all want a guarantee. Well, that could be great, right? And it sounds good, but it may not necessarily be the best option for you in that situation. So let's talk about how whole life works. Whole life says, hey, you have we're going to use a $100,000 policy. That $100,000 policy will grow based upon whatever interest rate that company is giving. It'll grow over time, and you'll pay for that policy every month. That policy doesn't decrease, it stays the same, and it may have cash value built in it. Now, one of the caveats to a cash value policy, and most people try to sell you on this, and this is where I get kind of angry in the industry, because they tell you this and it sounds good. They say, oh, you can build your own bank because it grows in cash value. You can go in and take out some of the funds. Well, this is true. Okay, that's the true part about it. But what many times people fail to mention is that when you pull the money out of the cash value policy, they are decreasing the amount that you will get in the death benefit. So what does that even mean? Like, those are fancy words. What does that mean? You have a $100,000 policy. We're going to use an example. You have a $100,000 policy, and you decide, I want to borrow $10,000 from my policy. Well, you took the $10,000. How much do you have left? $90,000. Well, guess what? If that person was to pass away the next day, that $90,000 would be the death benefit off of that $10,000. You no longer have the full benefit on your policy. And what happens is that they're missing the fact that once you take that money out, it's no longer yours until you rebuild it and pay it all back. So are you really wanting to sacrifice your death benefit inside of that policy to borrow from it? Depends on the situation. But I just want to share that with you because that's one of the things that people don't share. Now, the second type, of course, is the term life. So that's the whole life. Let's talk about term life. Term life is a type of life insurance that you buy it, you get a certain amount for a certain period of time, hence term, for a certain period of time. So there could be a 10-year, 20, 30, even a 40-year policy, depending on your company, that you can get inside of that term policy. So what does it mean to get a term policy? Well, what's the difference between the two? Well, whole life, guaranteed. Term life, a certain term. So I want to ask you a question real quick, because I know I'm going to tell you a lot of information, but let me ask you a question. Do you buy your car insurance with a whole life policy? You're like, that's what you're talking about. When you buy your car insurance just in case something happens, right? Well, what I want to encourage you to do is to buy your life insurance just in case something happens. So what I encourage is I say, hey, client, depending on who you are, depending on the age, whoever it is, if you can get a term policy, get what you need for a certain period of time, that could be beneficial for you. Or I could say, hey, client, whoever you are, you may need a whole life policy because in your situation, this is what's good for you. So you're like, Candace, well, which one do you pick? It just depends. So you want to make sure that you get with a great professional, someone like myself, or someone else, doesn't matter. But you want to get with a great professional that'll be able to educate you about your needs. How much protection you need. If you haven't downloaded our free gift and worksheet to figure out how much coverage you need, make sure you do that. But you want to get with a professional that'll give you the benefits and the value that you need for your situation. And what kind of life insurance or family protection do you need? It just depends.